In the journey of life, every elderly person faces a significant decision on when to entrust their lifelong accumulated wealth to their children. This topic requires careful consideration as it affects family harmony and the emotions of each family member. Today, I will discuss two key moments in this process. Firstly, when the elderly are in good health and sound mind, it is an ideal time to address this matter. In Chinese culture, we often avoid discussing life and death, leading many elderly people to avoid discussing their affairs after death, including the distribution of their estate. However, this approach often leaves children with many problems. Imagine if the elderly person suddenly passes away. How would the property be distributed? Children might argue or even turn against each other, which undoubtedly goes against the original intention of the elderly. Therefore, when they are healthy and clear-minded, the elderly should communicate honestly with their children to clarify the distribution plan of their assets. This responsibility not only benefits themselves but also shows love for their children. However, when distributing assets, the elderly should also consider fairness and reasonableness. Some might favor a particular child and give most of their assets to that child, causing dissatisfaction among other children and leading to family conflicts. A recent widely publicized news story highlighted an elderly person who gave all the compensation from a demolition to his son, leaving his two daughters with nothing. As a result, when the elderly person needed medical treatment, the son, having failed in business, could not afford the expenses, and the daughters, feeling resentful, refused to pay. Such cases are truly lamentable. Therefore, the elderly should strive for fairness and justice to avoid leaving hidden disputes among their children. Apart from being in good health, another important moment is when children are independent and grateful. In raising children, parents give their all, hoping for their children's happiness. However, when parents hand over their assets too early, they often do not receive the expected return because easily obtained things are often not cherished. Children might take their parents' contributions for granted, losing a sense of gratitude. Therefore, parents should wait until their children can live independently and understand gratitude before entrusting them with their assets. This not only cultivates responsibility and gratitude in children, but also ensures the elderly's quality of life in their later years. However, in reality, many elderly people struggle with asset distribution. Some hold tightly to their assets, fearing their children will fight over them, while others give their assets too early, receiving inadequate filial piety in return. These phenomena reflect a lack of proper judgment and decision-making ability in the elderly regarding asset distribution. Therefore, when facing this significant decision, the elderly should maintain a clear mind and wise judgment, considering their own needs in old age and the feelings and interests of their children. In conclusion, regarding asset distribution, the elderly need to act cautiously, choosing the right time and paying attention to fairness and reasonableness. Only by doing so can they ensure family harmony and stability, allowing the elderly to enjoy a happy old age and letting children grow together in gratitude and responsibility. When we enter the later years of life, have we ever pondered whether money or children are more reliable? From an objective perspective, money seems to play a more solid role. Here, I want to clarify a point. In the eyes of psychology, objective facts are often regarded as the final adjudicator. Based on this, we might see more clearly that money is indeed more stable and reliable than children to some extent. This does not mean that children are not trustworthy or that their filial piety and understanding are not worthy of our pride, but we must recognize that as time goes by, when children enter middle age, they will also face various pressures in life, such as raising the next generation, family conflicts, and career development challenges. These pressures might prevent them from being by our side as often as before, providing meticulous care. Furthermore, there might be differences in values between us and our children, stemming from our different understandings of life and pursuits in life. For example, we might see thrift as a virtue, while our children might prioritize the quality of life. These differences may become more apparent in old age, leading to conflicts and disputes in our interactions with our children. So, how should we balance the relationship between money and children in our later years? I believe the key lies in understanding and positioning the roles of these two aspects. Money, as a resource, can provide us with material security, allowing us to live a comfortable and stable life in our later years. Children are our emotional anchors. Their companionship and care can make us feel the warmth of home. However, we also need to realize that children are not our entire life. We cannot place all our expectations and reliance on them, nor can we base our happiness entirely on them, because the growth and development of children are influenced by many factors we cannot predict or control. Therefore, in our later years, we need to cherish and make the most of our resources, including money and time. We can plan and arrange reasonably to make our later years more fulfilling and meaningful. At the same time, we should learn to maintain an appropriate distance from our children, respecting each other's choices and lifestyles, allowing each other to grow together in mutual understanding and support. In conclusion, in our later years, both money and children have their importance. We need to balance these two aspects reasonably based on our actual situation and needs, making our later years more beautiful and happy. In the long river of life for the elderly, the reserve of money is undoubtedly a solid ship. I often communicate with many elderly people, emphasizing the importance of this point. I do not mean to doubt the filial piety of the children, but I hope every elderly person can have enough financial strength to ensure a worry-free later life. Imagine if, in old age, one is short of money. Even if the children are very filial, they might develop grievances due to money issues or even face cold shoulders from daughters-in-law. Such a life would undoubtedly be full of too many uncertainties. I once heard a story about an old mother who lost her husband early and raised 3 sons on her own. Her children always believed their mother was wealthy and worry-free. They curiously asked their mother how much wealth she had, but the mother always smiled mysteriously and told them, "Don't worry, I have enough money to last several lifetimes." The children believed her and showed filial piety in hopes of one day inheriting their mother's fortune. However, when this old mother passed away, people were surprised to find her bank account had a debt of 800,000 yuan. It turned out that the so-called wealth was just a lie she made up to encourage her children to be filial. She used her own way to teach her sons the true meaning of filial piety and let them experience the subtle relationship between money and family affection. This story deeply moved me. It tells us that money plays a crucial role in the lives of the elderly. But more importantly, the elderly should have control over their money and their lives. They should have enough financial strength to be self-sufficient when needed rather than relying on their children. At the same time, they should have enough time to enjoy the beauty of life, pursue their interests and hobbies, rather than being entangled in family chores. Of course, we cannot ignore the power of family affection. Filial piety is a traditional virtue of the Chinese nation, and we should respect and pass on this virtue. But while being filial, we should also understand the needs and feelings of the elderly, respecting their choices and decisions. Only in this way can we truly achieve family harmony and social harmony. Therefore, I want to say it is really important for the elderly to have money, not only because they need enough financial strength to ensure their quality of life, but also because they should have control over their own lives. When they can freely manage their money, time, and happiness, whether they have raised children or not, and whether they are prepared for old age or not, becomes less important because they have found their own happiness and joy. Speaking of this, let's talk about parental favoritism. How deep is its impact? In fact, favoritism itself is not scary. What's scary is its long-term impact. Many parents in their prime pour material care and patience into their favored children. When it comes time to care for the elderly, they turn to the children they previously neglected. This behavior allows the favored children to reap praise without effort, while the neglected children, no matter how much they give, struggle to gain due recognition. The relationships between siblings are often deeply influenced by their parents. When parents are unfair, it is hard for siblings to avoid creating rifts. More painfully, when children want to escape this injustice, parents use morality as an excuse to accuse the children of being too calculative and unfilial. Therefore, as parents, we should treat every child fairly, not letting favoritism become a barrier between siblings. In our prime, we might easily let go, but in old age, it is the time to test humanity. We hope that we can be fair and impartial, allowing every child to feel the warmth and fairness of the family. In the warm harbor of the family, there are sometimes hidden undercurrents unknown to others. When parental favoritism becomes the fuse for discord among children, the originally deserved family affection gradually becomes estranged. Sons and daughters should not be pawns of parents' favoritism, nor should they become victims of family conflicts. Therefore, we need to think rationally, balance fairly, eliminate misunderstandings, and let every child feel the warmth and fairness of the family. In the journey of life, every elderly person faces a significant decision on when to entrust their lifelong accumulated wealth to their children. This topic requires careful consideration as it affects family harmony and the emotions of each family member. Today, I will discuss two key moments in this process. Firstly, when the elderly are in good health and sound mind, it is an ideal time to address this matter. In Chinese culture, we often avoid discussing